What the fuck did you just do? The question hangs unspoken in the air, thick and heavy as the cloying scent of orchids and old money. Before we even get into the story that's about to unfold, a story of humiliation, revenge, and the kind of justice you only see in movies, I have to ask you, what would you do if you were publicly shamed, treated like dirt beneath someone's shoe, all while holding a secret that could shatter their entire world? How would you play your hand? Let me know in the comments right now, before you hear the rest. And hey, if you love stories where the arrogant and the entitled get exactly what's coming to them, do me a favor and smash that like button and subscribe. You are not going to want to miss a single second of this. The ballroom is a galaxy of glittering chandeliers and forced smiles, a place where fortunes are flaunted and reputations are quietly assassinated over canapes. Bryce Covington, heir to nothing but his father's cruelty, lets his empty champagne flute dangle from his manicured fingers. A river of crimson, a vintage Bordeaux that costs more than a month's rent, streams down the pristine white chest of the man standing before him. "Somebody call the rental company." Bryce's voice slithers through the sudden hush, loud enough for everyone to hear. "This waiter is going to need a replacement." The universe of the ballroom erupts, not in gasps of horror, but in a symphony of muted chuckles and the predatory gleam of cell phone cameras rising like a tide. Flashes pop, capturing the moment for eternity, for the gossip blogs and the social media feeds where the rich devour their own. The man, the target, stands motionless. Let's call him Liam. For now, he is just a waiter, a nobody. Humiliation burns hotter than the wine stain spreading like a fresh wound across the chest of his rented tuxedo. He can feel hundreds of pairs of eyes on him, not with sympathy, but with the detached curiosity of spectators at a Roman circus. Then, the patriarch appears. Alistair Covington, a man whose tailored suit costs more than a car, strides forward. His movements are slow, deliberate, a predator enjoying the spectacle. His manicured fingers, eerily similar to his son's, extract a crisp, new $100 bill from his wallet. He doesn't hand it to Liam. He tucks it into Liam's breast pocket, a gesture of profound disrespect, then pats his cheek. Not once, but twice. Hard. The kind of pat you give a misbehaving dog. "There's a little something for your trouble." Alistair's voice is a low growl, a velvet-wrapped threat. "Know your place." They have no idea. They couldn't possibly know. The man they see as a clumsy server, a piece of disposable background scenery in their gilded lives, isn't staff. He's Liam Sterling, heir to Sterling Dynamics, the most innovative tech firm on the planet, the future Chief Innovation Officer. And as of 9 a.m. tomorrow, he is the man who will single-handedly decide the fate of their $900 million future. Oh, Liam won't create a scene tonight. He won't scream or fight or demand an apology. That would be their game, played by their rules. No. Tonight, he will stand here and absorb their contempt. He will let it soak into his skin along with the wine. And tomorrow? Tomorrow, he will orchestrate their complete and utter downfall. Let's rewind. Just 2 hours earlier, the world was a different place. Liam Sterling stands before the full-length mirror in his modest downtown apartment, a space that values function over flash. He's adjusting the bow tie on his rented tuxedo, a garment that feels alien against his skin. His fingers, usually steady enough to handle microscopic circuitry, tremble slightly. It's not nervousness about the clothes, or the party, or the powerful people he's about to meet. It's the crushing weight of responsibility. Tonight is his unofficial debut, his first major appearance as a representative of Sterling Dynamics, in this high-stakes social arena. His phone vibrates on the dresser, a sharp buzz against the polished wood. The screen flashes. Dad. His father's voice, crisp and direct, comes through from halfway across the world in Tokyo. The Covingtons will be there, Liam, Alistair and his children. I've read the file, Liam says, his own voice sounding more confident than he feels. Their investment could be the key to our Asian expansion, James Sterling continues, his tone pure business. They're old money, powerful, connected, make a good impression. Liam nods, a futile gesture across thousands of miles of ocean. I know the numbers, Dad. I've studied their portfolio, their market position, their... This isn't about portfolios, son. James's voice softens, the hard edges of the CEO momentarily giving way to the father. Men like Alistair Covington, they don't respect potential. They only respect power. Remember what I've always taught you. Liam's gaze meets his own in the mirror. Value is in character, not capital. He recites the family mantra, the words that have been the bedrock of his upbringing. Exactly. His father's voice is warm with approval. Trust your judgment. This partnership, in the end, is your call to make. I trust you. The call ends. Liam stares at his reflection. A young man in a borrowed suit, looking nothing like the heir to a multi-billion-dollar tech empire. And that was by design. James Sterling, despite his monumental success, had raised his son with a deliberate, almost aggressive humility. There was no trust fund waiting for Liam. No guaranteed board seat. Nepotism was a dirty word in their household. Liam had earned his position, every single rung of the ladder. He started as a summer intern, fetching coffee and running errands. He spent years in the labs, working 18-hour days, sleeping on a cot in the office, fueled by lukewarm coffee and a burning desire to create. He was the lead architect of their revolutionary quantum processor, the very technology the Covingtons were so desperate to get their hands on. And now, after years in the trenches, he was stepping into the role of Chief Innovation Officer. He knew the company, its technology, and its people from the ground up, because he had been one of them. Stepping into the grand ballroom of the Sinclair Hotel is like stepping into another world. The air is thick with the scent of expensive perfume and entitlement. Crystal chandeliers, each the size of a small car, drip light onto the chattering, preening crowd. Gold flatware gleams on tables laden with food that will mostly go uneaten. Champagne flows from fountains, a vulgar display of wealth that makes Liam's stomach turn. The Covington family holds court near the center of the room, a vortex of power around which everyone else orbits. Alistair, the silver-haired patriarch, stands flanked by his two children, Bryce and Tiffany. They are a terrifying portrait of inherited arrogance. With practiced ease, they critique the attire of other guests in stage whispers designed to carry just far enough to humiliate, without seeming overtly intentional. They are masters of the 1,000 tiny cuts that bleed a person's confidence dry. Liam takes a deep breath and straightens his rented tie. Make a good impression. His father's words echo in his mind. He begins to walk towards them, his invitation held loosely in his hand. He gets within 10 feet before a man built like a refrigerator, with a curly wire snaking from his ear, steps into his path. Staff entrance is around the back, the security guard grunts, his eyes sweeping over Liam's ill-fitting suit with casual disdain. I'm a guest, Liam says, holding out his invitation. The guard examines it with theatrical skepticism, holding it up to the light as if it might be a clever forgery. Finally, with a reluctant shrug, he steps aside. As Liam approaches the Covingtons' inner circle, Alistair glances his way, a flicker of annoyance in his eyes. He leans over and whispers something to Bryce. Both of them chuckle, a dry, rasping sound. New money, I suppose, Alistair mutters, his voice carrying clearly to Liam. Standards just aren't what they used to be. The dismissal is so complete, so absolute, that it feels like a physical blow. Liam stops in his tracks. He sees the game now. An introduction would be pointless. They have already judged and condemned him based on the cut of his suit and the absence of a familiar family name. So, he retreats, melting back towards the edge of the room. He becomes an observer, a ghost at the feast. From a distance, he watches the Covingtons in their natural habitat. He watches Bryce berate a young, terrified waiter over the temperature of his champagne, reducing the boy to a series of stammered, pathetic apologies. He watches Tiffany, bored and beautiful, accidentally trip a busboy, sending a tray of dirty dishes clattering to the marble floor. She doesn't apologize. She laughs, a tinkling, cruel sound, as the boy scrambles to clean up her mess, his face burning with shame. The staff all move with the same tight smiles and fearful eyes. They are prey animals who have learned the hard way that the predators in this jungle wear tuxedos and evening gowns. The Covingtons mock a nobody tonight, a faceless waiter in a rented suit, completely, blissfully unaware that this nobody will decide their billion-dollar fate tomorrow. This isn't just business anymore. This is personal. The crowd begins to migrate towards a large stage as the gala transitions into its fundraising phase. The supposed cause is children's education, a noble sentiment that serves as a convenient excuse for tonight's grotesque excess. Liam finds a seat near the back, content to remain in the shadows. The auctioneer, a slick former television personality with teeth too white to be real, presents the first items: luxury vacations to private islands, meet and greets with vapid celebrities, exclusive memberships to clubs Liam has never heard of. The bidding is aggressive, a performance of wealth for the benefit of the audience. Liam remains silent until a more modest lot appears on the screen. A weekend getaway to a local vineyard, complete with a private tasting and a tour with the owner. It's a simple, genuine prize amidst the gaudy displays of status. $500, Liam calls out, his voice clear and measured in the cavernous room. It's a reasonable sum for a worthy cause. Bryce Covington, sitting near the front, turns slowly in his seat. His eyes, small and reptilian, narrow as they find Liam in the back. A smirk plays on his lips. 5,000, he counters, his voice dripping with condescension. He doesn't even look at the auctioneer. His challenge is aimed directly at Liam. Liam considers. It's a stupid game, but the money is for charity. 5,500, he calls back. This time Bryce stands up, turning to face the crowd. His champagne flute dangles precariously from his fingers. Perhaps you should stick to items in your price range, he says, his voice booming with theatrical pity. He then turns back to the auctioneer. 50,000. He winks at the crowd. A wave of appreciative titters and sycophantic laughter follows. It's not about the vineyard anymore. It's about public humiliation. It's about putting the little man in his place. The auctioneer, sensing the mood of his wealthy patrons, brings his gavel down with an uncomfortable, unseemly haste. Sold. To Mr. Covington. The next item appears on the screen, and the room stills. The playful atmosphere evaporates, replaced by a palpable tension. The text on the screen reads, First commercial partnership rights for the Sterling Dynamics quantum processor. This isn't a luxury trinket or a weekend away. This is the Holy Grail. This is industry dominance, technological superiority, a license to print money for the next decade. This is the future. Alistair Covington rises slowly, deliberately, every eye in the room fixed on him. He stares directly at Liam, a man he believes to be a waiter, and it feels as though he's issuing a personal challenge across the crowded ballroom. $1 million, he announces, his voice echoing with the absolute certainty of a man who has never been told no. Liam remains perfectly still, his face an unreadable mask. In his pocket, his phone vibrates silently. He doesn't need to look. It's a text he's been expecting. A message from his father. Trust your judgment on partnerships. Your call to make. Remember our values. During a brief intermission, as guests mingle and refill their glasses, Tiffany Covington materializes at Liam's side. She drifts through the crowd like a shark, all grace and hidden teeth. She extends a fresh champagne flute towards him. You work at Sterling Dynamics, right? She asks, her voice a practiced, breathy purr. I thought I recognized you from one of the company newsletters or something. Liam accepts the drink with a quiet nod. Yes, I do. Entry level, I assume. Her smile is a perfect, symmetrical thing, but it doesn't reach her cold, calculating eyes. I lead the processor development team, Liam begins, deciding to offer a small piece of the truth. Tiffany cuts him off with a short, sharp laugh. Oh, that's adorable. Really. We're actually meeting with the Sterling heir tomorrow, the CEO's son. You know, the actual decision-maker. Not staff. She takes a delicate sip of her champagne, her eyes already scanning the room for more important connections, for someone worthy of her time. Well, I should go. It was nice meeting you. Good luck with your little career. Liam manages a polite smile, the expression feeling stiff and unnatural on his face. I hope your meeting goes well. For everyone involved. Oh, it will. Tiffany tosses back her perfectly styled hair, the gesture a punctuation mark of supreme confidence. My father always gets what he wants. Every dismissive word, every casual insult, every single act of thoughtless cruelty is another nail in their coffin. They just won't understand why until they're being lowered into the ground at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Dinner service begins with a theatrical flourish. An army of waiters lifts silver domes in perfect unison, revealing artfully arranged, minuscule portions of food that prioritize presentation over sustenance. Liam navigates through the maze of tables toward his assigned seat, tucked away in the far corner of the ballroom, a social Siberia far from the Covingtons and the other influential guests. He never makes it. Bryce Covington intercepts him between tables, a glass of red wine swirling dangerously in his hand. Their shoulders brush. It's a tiny, almost imperceptible movement, but it happens with the practiced, deliberate precision of a hired killer. Wine cascades down Liam's chest. The brilliant white shirt beneath his rented jacket transforms instantly into a map of crimson and shame. Conversations halt mid-sentence. All eyes turn. 100 tiny dramas stop, replaced by this one central spectacle. Somebody call the rental company, Bryce's voice, a blade of smug satisfaction, cuts through the ballroom. This waiter is going to need a replacement. Laughter ripples through the crowd. It's hesitant at first, a few nervous titters, but then it builds, swelling into a wave as the attendees realize the victim of this prank lacks the social capital to require their sympathy. He is a nobody. He is fair game. Phones emerge again. Photos snap, flashes strobe, immortalizing his disgrace. Liam stands immobilized, the cold, sticky liquid seeping through the layers of fabric, chilling his skin. But it's the heat of 100 stares that burns. Alistair Covington rises from his table, approaching with the slow, satisfied stride of a lion approaching a kill. He reaches into his jacket pocket, extracting a crisp $100 bill with a deliberate, ostentatious showmanship. He tucks it into Liam's breast pocket, the same place the wine has stained, then pats his cheek twice, hard. The gesture is one a master gives a disobedient pet. There's a little something for your trouble. His voice drops. A conspiratorial, venomous whisper meant for Liam alone. Know your place next time. Just as two security guards materialize at Liam's elbow, ready to escort the source of the disruption from the room, a new voice cuts in, sharp and clear as a ringing bell. He's with me. The voice belongs to a small, elderly woman who seems to appear from nowhere, materializing at Liam's side. Her posture radiates an authority that belies her diminutive stature. Dr. Eris Thorne, she adds for the benefit of the security guards, who immediately retreat as if struck by a magic spell. The name works like a charm. She gently takes Liam's arm, guiding him away from the spectacle, toward a quiet alcove near the exit. The Covingtons have always been that way, she says, her voice a low murmur of disgust. Old money, rotten attitudes, vultures in tailored suits. She studies his face, her eyes sharp and intelligent. I knew your father when he was just starting out, when he had nothing but a dream and a garage. James would be appalled by their behavior. You know who I am? Liam asks, dabbing futilely at his ruined shirt with a cocktail napkin. Of course, Dr. Thorne smiles, a genuine warm expression. You have the sterling eyes, unmistakable. They have no idea, do they? Liam shakes his head. I'd appreciate your discretion, at least until tomorrow's meeting. Dr. Thorne's eyes sparkle with a delightful mischief. Oh, my dear boy, she says, patting his arm. I wouldn't miss that meeting for the world. Across the room, the Covingtons are celebrating their victory. Alistair holds court, his voice carrying across the ballroom. Once we control that processor technology, he boasts to his circle of sycophants, we'll crush our competition. The Sterling boy will fold. They always do. These tech nerds, they lack the killer instinct. Liam excuses himself. In the men's room, he strips off the soiled jacket and shirt. He had kept a spare shirt in his car, a lesson learned from a coffee spill years ago. As he changes, he studies his reflection in the mirror. The sterling eyes. His father's eyes. And he remembers his father's words from years ago, when the quantum processor was just a theory on a whiteboard. Our technology should empower those who will use it responsibly, Liam. It's a tool, not a weapon. His phone rings. It's his father, checking in from Tokyo. How's the gala? James asks. Educational, Liam replies. He briefly, clinically, recounts the evening's events, from the security guard to the spilled wine, to the $100 tip. There's a long pause on the other end of the line. Liam can picture his father, sitting in his hotel room, looking out over the glittering Tokyo skyline, processing the information. What are you thinking, son? James finally asks. Liam's voice is firm, all trace of the evening's humiliation gone, replaced by a cold, hard resolve. I'm thinking we need to fundamentally reconsider who we partner with. I trust your judgment, his father says simply, the words carrying the weight of a lifetime of faith. You have my full and unconditional support. Wine stains can be cleaned. The true colors of the Covingtons, however, had just been permanently revealed. The drive home is a study in calculated silence. The opulent estate hosting the gala shrinks in his rearview mirror, a glittering island of casual cruelty receding into the darkness. Streetlights strobe across his face, but his expression is impassive. His knuckles aren't white on the steering wheel. His breath doesn't quicken with anger. The classical music playing softly from the car's speakers continues uninterrupted. Only his eyes, those unmistakable sterling eyes, betray the complex machinery of consequence now whirring into motion behind them. The humiliation doesn't matter. Not personally. He could endure that. What matters is what it revealed. It was a perfect, uncontrolled experiment. It revealed everything about the Covingtons' character. It revealed how they would treat Sterling Dynamics employees, how they would wield the power of the processor technology his team had spent years of their lives developing. It revealed who they truly are when they believe no one of consequence is watching. His apartment, usually a sanctuary of calm, feels stark and empty after the gala's oppressive opulence. He doesn't bother turning on the lights. Standing by the massive floor-to-ceiling window that overlooks the city, he makes 3 calls in quick succession, his voice a low, commanding tone in the darkness. The first is to his executive team, waking them from their sleep. I need comprehensive reports on Covington Industries, labor practices, environmental compliance, financial stability, pending lawsuits, everything. I want it all. Sir, it's almost midnight, his assistant protests gently. And we have a 9 a.m. meeting that will determine the future of both our companies, Liam counters, his voice leaving no room for argument. I need it now. The encrypted reports begin to flood his inbox within the hour. Liam sits in the dark, the only light coming from his tablet screen. He scrolls through a litany of corporate malfeasance, documented evidence of corners cut on safety protocols, whistleblower lawsuits settled and sealed with ironclad NDAs, a pattern of bullying smaller companies into bankruptcy, former employees alleging a toxic, high-pressure work environment that bordered on abusive. Each swipe of his finger reveals another layer of rot beneath the Covington's polished, respectable facade. His second call is to the head of his legal counsel. Prepare termination clauses for any potential agreement with Covington Industries. I want maximum protection for our intellectual property and our staff. I want them ironclad. Are we expecting problems, sir? The lawyer asks, the sleepiness gone from his voice. I'm ensuring we're prepared for all contingencies, Liam replies. His final call is back to Tokyo. His father listens without interruption, as Liam lays out the details not just of the evening's humiliation, but of the corporate decay he's uncovered in the reports. They showed you who they are, son, James Sterling says when he's finished. Believe them. I do, Liam confirms. Their entire empire is built on a foundation of intimidation and exploitation. As my successor, this is your call, his father reminds him. Whatever you decide, I'll back you completely. Across the city, in a sprawling mansion that oozes dynastic wealth, Alistair Covington gathers his children in his oak-paneled study. Crystal tumblers of scotch clink as he raises a toast to their success. The Sterling Dynamics deal is practically signed, he announces, a triumphant gleam in his eye. Their CEO is off playing the humble visionary in Tokyo, leaving his precious, inexperienced son to handle the final negotiations. It's the perfect setup. That nobody we humiliated, Bryce laughs, swirling his drink. The waiter, classic power move, Dad, a masterpiece. Alistair nods approvingly. It's the perfect example of why people like us stay on top. Connections, power, and perception matter more than competence. It's about establishing the natural hierarchy. He scrolls through his phone, showing his son the photos of the wine-soaked Liam that are already making the rounds in their private circles. I sent these to our PR team. We'll leak them anonymously after the contract is signed. A little public reminder of who's really in charge. Tiffany sips her scotch, a smug, satisfied smile on her face. Tomorrow we meet the Sterling heir and wrap him around our little finger. Another trophy for the family collection. Back in his downtown apartment, Liam Sterling stands at his window, looking out at the glittering city skyline. The Covington Tower, a monument to arrogance and greed, dominates the view. Inside that building, he knows, thousands of employees live in fear of daily humiliation from people who view power not as a responsibility, but as a weapon. His decision, which had been forming all evening, now crystallizes into a silent, unbreakable vow. The Covingtons will never touch his family's technology. They will never have power over his people. By sunrise, Liam holds all the cards. By sunset, The Covingtons won't even be in the game. Sterling Dynamics headquarters gleams in the morning sun, its soaring, curved glass exterior reflecting the city awakening around it. Liam arrives at 7 a.m., 2 hours before the scheduled meeting. He's not in a rented suit today. He's wearing a bespoke, tailored suit that costs more than his entire wardrobe combined, a silent statement of intent. Today is not about humility. Today is about power. His executive team is already assembled in the main conference room, a space of minimalist design and cutting-edge technology. Coffee steams from porcelain cups. Silver trays of pastries remain untouched. The air is charged with tension. At Alistair Covington's designated seat at the head of the massive table, 2 identical-looking contract folders are placed side by side. "Sir, 2 options?" his chief financial officer asks, examining the folders. "I don't understand." "Insurance," Liam explains, straightening his father's company pin on his lapel. "The first folder offers a partnership under our standard, generous terms. The second—" His voice trails off as he glances out the window. 3 black, impossibly shiny SUVs have pulled into the reserved parking spaces below. The Covingtons. They've arrived 15 minutes early, a classic power play, meant to unbalance, to show they are in control. Liam allows himself a thin, cold smile. "Let them wait in reception for exactly 14 minutes. Then send them up." The Covingtons make their entrance not like business partners, but like visiting royalty inspecting a new colonial holding. Alistair's custom Italian shoes click with authority across the marble lobby floor. Tiffany's designer perfume announces her presence seconds before she appears, a cloud of expensive arrogance. Bryce is already scrolling through his phone, chuckling at something on the screen. "Coffee?" Alistair demands of the receptionist without looking up from signing the visitor log. When she returns a moment later with a steaming cup, he takes 1 sip, then grimaces with theatrical disgust. "Is this the best you have?" "The CEO's son will be with you shortly," she responds, her professional smile unwavering, a mask of perfect neutrality. "I bet he makes us wait on purpose," Tiffany sighs, examining her flawless manicure. These new money tech types, they always play these pathetic little power games to compensate for their complete lack of social grace. "Did you see this?" Bryce turns his phone toward his father, displaying the photo of the wine-stained waiter. It's already circulating on several gossip blogs, accompanied by mocking, derisive captions. Alistair's laugh, a harsh, booming sound, echoes through the vast reception area. "By noon today, we will own the future of computing." Inside the boardroom, Liam receives one final email. It's the complete, unredacted background report on Covington Industries. Their $900 million valuation, he sees, is a house of cards. It rests almost entirely on projected earnings that are wholly dependent on them securing cutting-edge technology like the Sterling processor. Without it, their empire stands on quicksand. The receptionist's voice comes through the intercom, calm and professional. "The Covingtons are ready, sir." Liam straightens his tie, centers the 2 contract folders on the table, and nods to his team. "Send them in." The grand double doors swing open. The Covingtons enter, their broad, confident business smiles firmly in place. They freeze mid-step. Recognition dawns, followed by a wave of dawning, sickening horror. Their smiles curdle. "Good morning," Liam says, his voice perfectly calm, perfectly level. "I believe we've already met." The rapid-fire shift in their expressions is a sight to behold. It moves from confusion to disbelief to a dawning, catastrophic comprehension. 3 generations of wealth, power, and unshakable arrogance suddenly hang by a single, slender thread held by the waiter they had humiliated less than 12 hours ago. Alistair recovers first, his political and social reflexes kicking in. His expression cycles through shock, calculation, and a grotesque, false warmth in under 2 seconds. He forces a laugh that sounds like glass breaking. Liam, what a hilarious misunderstanding last night. He steps forward, his hand extended, attempting to bulldoze over the reality of the situation. We had no idea it was you. We thought you were... The waiter, Liam finishes the sentence for him, his voice as level and cold as polished steel. He does not take the offered hand. Or the CEO's son you're here to negotiate with. Bryce's fingers are moving frantically across his phone screen, a desperate, pathetic attempt to delete the photos that are already out in the wild, already beyond his control. Tiffany's perfect posture crumbles, her shoulders curving inward as if to physically shrink herself, to become a smaller target. Alistair, ever the predator, pivots smoothly. Your humility is remarkable, truly. Most heirs would have announced themselves immediately. He slides into the chair at the head of the table, the one Liam's team had prepared for him, without waiting for an invitation. That's exactly the kind of strong, silent leadership we respect at Covington Industries. Your father must be incredibly proud. Liam doesn't acknowledge the compliment. He doesn't acknowledge anything they say. He is all business. He activates the massive wall screen behind him. A dazzling presentation of technical specifications, market projections, and implementation timelines appears. He presents the Sterling Dynamics quantum processor with the clinical precision of a surgeon. He details its revolutionary architecture, its unprecedented energy efficiency, its market-transforming potential. Our technology, Liam explains, his voice resonating with quiet authority, represents a paradigm shift. Companies that implement it will dominate their respective sectors for the next decade, at least. Those without access, he pauses, letting the words hang in the air, will struggle to remain competitive. The Covingtons lean forward in perfect, unconscious synchronization. Their predatory business instincts are overriding their earlier discomfort and horror. Alistair's eyes are wide, reflecting the billion-dollar signs he sees on the screen. Tiffany is mentally calculating the increase in social capital. Bryce is envisioning the complete and utter destruction of their competitors. We are prepared to offer an exclusive partnership for the first year, Liam continues, sliding the first folder across the polished table toward Alistair. All the terms are outlined in there. While Alistair greedily opens the contract, his eyes scanning the favorable terms, Tiffany attempts some desperate damage control. I've always admired the Sterling family's vision, she offers, her voice now a syrupy, honeyed confection. Your father's rise from nothing is legendary, and now, your own innovations. She trails off as she realizes Liam's expression remains completely, chillingly impassive. He isn't buying it. Alistair looks up from the contract, beaming, his earlier shock completely forgotten in the face of immense profit. These terms are more than acceptable. They're perfect. We can sign today. Before we do, Liam interjects, his voice cutting through Alistair's enthusiasm. I'd like to discuss one more thing. It came up during our standard background research. Okay, let's pause right here. Can you feel that? The delicious tension in the air? That, my friends, is the sweet, sweet sound of karma loading its shotgun. If you are enjoying this story as much as I am, let me know in the comments what you think should happen to the Covingtons next. And if you haven't already, now is the perfect time to subscribe, because I promise you the fallout from this meeting is going to be absolutely epic. Liam pulls out a second, much thicker file. It's filled with documented reports of Covington Industries' labor violations, their environmental negligence, their predatory business practices. This, he says, his voice dropping slightly, gives me pause. The temperature in the room seems to drop 20 degrees. Alistair's smile hardens, becoming a brittle, angry thing. Industry standard practices, he dismisses with an arrogant wave of his hand. The unfortunate but necessary cost of staying competitive in today's cutthroat market. I understand, Liam replies, his tone deceptively mild. And that information has certainly informed our final decision. He reaches across the table, takes back the first folder with the generous partnership offer, and slides the second one forward to take its place. This is our revised offer. The second contract isn't a partnership offer. It's an extinction-level event disguised in legal language. Alistair snatches it up, his professional mask slipping away with each paragraph he reads. His complexion reddens, a slow, angry tide rising from his starched collar to his hairline. A vein begins to pulse visibly at his temple. This is outrageous, he finally sputters, slamming the contract down on the table. These terms, they would give you direct oversight of our internal operations, mandatory ethics training for all management, a complete restructuring of our board. Those are our conditions for partnership, Liam states, his voice remaining perfectly measured, a stark contrast to the rising tension in the room. My father has reviewed this document and fully supports this position. Tiffany snatches the document from her father, her eyes darting frantically across the text. Her perfectly applied makeup cannot hide the growing panic in her eyes. You can't possibly expect us to agree to this. You're right, Liam agrees, the first genuine confirmation he has offered them all morning. I don't expect you to agree. He leans forward slightly, his eyes locking onto Alistair's. This meeting was never about securing your partnership. It was about informing you that Sterling Dynamics will be partnering exclusively with your 3 largest competitors instead. The words land like a series of physical blows. Harrison's face drains of all color as he rapidly calculates the devastating implications. Without access to Sterling's technology, Covington Industries becomes obsolete overnight. Their inflated stock valuation will collapse, investors will flee, their empire, the product of 3 generations of ruthless ambition, will disintegrate into dust. You're making a terrible mistake. Alistair's voice drops to a threatening whisper. The Covingtons have friends. In every industry, 1 word from us. About what? Liam interrupts, his voice sharp for the first time. About how you treated someone you thought was beneath you? Please, share that story far and wide. Bryce, silent until now, slams his fist against the polished table, his face a mask of impotent rage. This is personal. This is all because of last night. You're destroying a billion-dollar company over a spilled drink. No, Liam corrects him calmly. I'm choosing not to empower people who have demonstrated, in no uncertain terms, exactly how they use power. The spilled drink didn't cause this. It just showed me who you really are. Alistair stands abruptly, his chair scraping loudly against the hardwood floor. He plays his final, desperate card. Raw financial power. Name your price, son. Everyone has one. What will it take to make this go away? His eyes narrow. Or does Daddy need to approve that too? Liam rises slowly to meet him, eye to eye. My father taught me that some things aren't for sale, Mr. Covington. Things like integrity, character, respect. He reaches into his pocket and places Alistair's crisp, folded $100 bill on the table between them. I believe this is yours. I'm returning your tip. He looks past them, to his security team waiting by the door. The meeting is over. The Covingtons came to acquire a technology. They failed to recognize that the most dangerous innovation in the room was something else entirely. Principled power. They gather their belongings in stiff, mechanical movements, like automatons whose power is failing. Alistair's shoulders, usually so broad and confident, are rigid with suppressed apoplectic rage. Bryce repeatedly loosens and tightens his tie, as if the knot is strangling him. Tiffany's manicured fingernails tap a frantic, anxious rhythm against her expensive leather portfolio. Just as they turn to leave, the door opens. Liam's assistant enters with practiced, calm efficiency. "Sir," she says, ignoring the Covingtons completely. "Your father is on the line from Tokyo. The Thornton Group, Rivera Enterprises, and Fujimoto Technologies have all confirmed their participation in the joint development program." Liam nods, his expression revealing nothing. "Perfect timing. Please inform my father that we'll announce the new global collaboration at today's press conference, as planned." The Covingtons freeze mid-motion. "Press conference?" Alistair's voice cracks, a tiny fissure in his crumbling facade of control. "Yes," Liam checks his watch. "In 1 hour, to be precise. My father and I will be jointly announcing our new strategic partnerships. We'll also be announcing our new industry-wide ethics initiative, live from our Tokyo and New York offices." He meets Alistair's horrified gaze directly. "You're welcome to stay and watch from the lobby. The entire industry is about to change direction." As the Covingtons move reluctantly toward the exit, their billion-dollar dreams in tatters, a familiar figure appears in the doorway, blocking their path. Dr. Eris Thorne stands there, her diminutive stature somehow filling the entire space with an unshakable authority. Alistair's face contorts with confusion, which quickly morphs into a new, dawning comprehension of just how badly he has miscalculated. You two know each other?" "Dr. Thorne was my doctoral advisor at MIT, Liam explains calmly. "She recognized the potential in my processor design when I was still just a graduate student." The final truth crashes down on the Covingtons with the force of a physical blow. Liam isn't merely the CEO's son, the silver spoon heir to Sterling Dynamics. He is the actual inventor of the revolutionary technology. He is the architect of the very innovation they had so desperately and so arrogantly pursued. The realization reframes everything. Last night's humiliation wasn't just an amusing power play against a nobody. It was an existential, catastrophic business blunder. And I was the one who introduced him to his father's board when they were looking for new innovation leadership, Dr. Thorne adds, a razor-thin smile on her lips. "The tech world is much smaller than you think, Alistair." Liam moves back to the wall screen, activating a new presentation, one the Covingtons hadn't seen before. The Ethics Initiative. The screen displays new proposed standards for labor practices, environmental responsibility, and corporate governance across the entire tech sector. Dozens of company logos, all major players in the industry, are displayed at the bottom. These companies have all signed preliminary agreements to participate, Liam explains. Compliance will be officially voluntary, but companies that choose not to participate will not be granted access to our joint development platform or our processor technology. It's a checkmate. Alistair's expression finally crumbles, moving past anger into pure, unadulterated desperation. This isn't just about losing a contract anymore. This is systematic, surgical exclusion from the future of the entire industry. "You can't do this," he whispers, his voice stripped of all its usual command and authority. "I'm not doing anything to you, Alistair," Liam responds, his voice even and steady. "I'm building a better future with partners who share our values. Your exclusion from that future is entirely self-inflicted." Security appears at the doorway, not to escort Liam out, as they had attempted at the gala, but to remove the Covingtons from Sterling Dynamics headquarters. Alistair makes one final, pathetic attempt to salvage his crumbling empire. "Your father's board members, they're friends of mine," he threatens, his voice rising to an undignified squawk. "They'll hear about this abuse of power, this personal vendetta." Liam doesn't even flinch. The board unanimously approved this new direction this morning, after I gave them a full report on what happened last night. They've also seen the same reports on Covington Industries that I have. His voice remains calm, but it carries an unmistakable weight of finality. No one wants to partner with a company that treats people, any people, the way you do. As security gently but firmly guides the shell-shocked Covingtons from the room, Liam turns to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. He activates the video call to Tokyo, where his father waits, ready to jointly announce the partnerships that will reshape the tech industry and permanently exile the Covington empire from its future. On a screen in the lobby, a financial news network is already reporting unusual heavy trading activity in Covington Industries stock. A slight tremor before the earthquake. By the time the Covingtons reach their vehicles, their phones will be flooding with panicked, furious messages from their own board members, investors, and partners. By market close, hundreds of millions of dollars of their family's value will have simply evaporated. All because they decided to mock the wrong waiter at a charity gala. As the elevator doors close on the Covingtons' ashen, defeated faces, their empire has already begun its irreversible freefall. The corporate execution happens with a speed and brutality that is breathtaking. Within 20 minutes of the press conference announcement, Covington Industries' stock plummets 15%, triggering an automatic trading halt. When trading resumes, the freefall accelerates. By lunchtime, they've lost 40% of their market value, nearly $360 million gone, vanished in less than 3 hours. Financial news networks, which that very morning had been praising Alistair Covington's ruthless business acumen, switched to continuous coverage of the Covington collapse. Analysts dissect the company's structural vulnerabilities with the cold precision of coroners. Covington Industries built their entire forward-looking strategy on securing next-generation processing capabilities, explains one technology analyst on MarketWatch, pointing to a rapidly declining stock chart. Without access to the Sterling architecture, their entire product pipeline is effectively obsolete before it can even launch. Another analyst is more blunt. They haven't just lost a deal, they've been locked out of the future. And that photo, the one Bryce was so proud of, appears on gossip sites and social media feeds exactly as he had planned. But the context has been violently inverted. The headlines are not what the Covingtons envisioned. Humility in leadership. Sterling heir endured public mockery hours before business triumph. The tech prince in disguise. How Liam Sterling lets actions speak louder than his name. The $900 million mistake, the night the Covingtons mocked the wrong waiter. A tidal wave of public opinion crashes down upon them. The comment sections flood with support for the quiet, humble CEO's son and venom for the arrogant, entitled billionaire family. The narrative writes itself, a perfect morality tale for the digital age about judging people by their character, not by their clothes. At Covington headquarters, chaos reigns. Alistair barricades himself in his office, blinds drawn, refusing all calls except those from furious board members and panicked major investors, all of whom are demanding the same explanations he doesn't have. How did he misread the situation so catastrophically? How did he fail to recognize Liam Sterling? Why didn't their multi-million-dollar research team identify the single most important person at that gala? Tiffany attempts to manage crisis communications, but her efforts are futile. Each carefully worded press release she issues is immediately undermined by a flood of former employees taking to social media, emboldened by the company's sudden, shocking vulnerability. They share their own horror stories of the toxic culture at Covington. They made me work 100-hour weeks for a year, then fired me when I requested 2 days off for my child's surgery, writes a former software developer. Her post goes viral. Alistair Covington once told me personally that ethics are for companies that can't compete on innovation, reveals a former executive. His story is picked up by a major newspaper. Bryce, meanwhile, desperately tries to do damage control on the personal front, calling in favors from media contacts he thought he had, trying to kill the wine-spilling story. His frantic efforts only amplify it. Each attempted suppression generates new headlines about the Covingtons' pathetic attempts to control the narrative. By mid-afternoon, prestigious law firms begin announcing the formation of class action lawsuits against Covington Industries on behalf of shareholders, citing materially misleading statements and a failure to disclose significant business risks. Back at Sterling Dynamics headquarters, Liam receives hourly updates on the fallout, but he shows no joy, no satisfaction in the Covingtons' spectacular destruction. When his assistant remarks on how quickly their empire is crumbling, Liam responds quietly, "This isn't about punishment, it's about consequences." And the consequences continue to mount. An anonymous source leaks internal documents to the press, memos from Alistair instructing managers to work them until they break, then replace them. Emails revealing the systematic suppression of safety concerns to meet aggressive production deadlines. Financial records exposing accounting practices that, while technically legal, were designed to mislead investors. Each new revelation is another shovel of dirt on the company's grave, driving the stock price lower and lower. By the market close, their $900 million valuation has contracted to barely $300 million, with no floor in sight. Across the entire technology sector, a seismic shift is occurring. Companies rush to announce new, employee-friendly ethics policies and improved workplace conditions. No one wants to be the next Covington. The ethics initiative Liam introduced that morning gains new signatories by the hour, as companies scramble to demonstrate that they belong on the right side of the new divide he has created. Meanwhile, Sterling Dynamics stock surges, adding billions to its market cap. Financial analysts upgrade their growth projections. Liam Sterling's name is trending globally. Industry publications rush to profile the hidden genius behind the quantum architecture. The most devastating blow comes at sunset. The Covington Industries Board of Directors calls for an emergency shareholder meeting to address leadership concerns and strategic direction. The bland corporate euphemism doesn't disguise their true intent for a second. Alistair Covington's reign is over. In his hotel in Tokyo, James Sterling watches the financial bloodbath unfold on multiple screens. He calls his son as the U.S. markets close for the day. "You've transformed the entire industry in a single day," he observes, his voice measured, yet filled with a profound pride. "It wasn't my intent to destroy them, Dad," Liam replies, his voice tired. "No," his father agrees. "Your intent was to protect our technology and our values from misuse. Their destruction is entirely self-inflicted. They built an empire on a foundation of exploitation, Liam. It was always going to collapse. You just pushed it over." There's a pause. "Power reveals character, son. Theirs and yours. I'm proud of how you've wielded it today." As night falls, the Covingtons are finished. They just don't know the full extent of it yet. Their legal team works frantically through the night to prepare for the shareholder revolt. Their entire strategy centered on a single, desperate argument: that Liam Sterling pursued a personal vendetta, abusing his position to orchestrate their downfall. What they don't yet understand is that a character assassination only works if your target has a character that is vulnerable to assassination. By morning, they will discover their final, fatal miscalculation. Liam Sterling's reputation for quiet competence and unimpeachable integrity makes him virtually unassailable. The empire the Covingtons spent 3 generations building continues its collapse through the long, dark night. Board members are privately contacting executive headhunters looking for new opportunities. Key employees are updating their resumes. Corporate partners are quietly initiating contract exit clauses. And Alistair Covington sits alone in his vast, dark office, staring at a single $100 bill returned to him by a waiter who, it turned out, was holding all the cards. The Covingtons had prepared for every possible business contingency, except one, the ultimate cost of their own character. 6 months later, the world is a different place. The name Covington is now a cautionary tale, a synonym for corporate hubris taught in business schools. Their empire was dismantled, sold off for parts. Alistair retreated into bitter, self-imposed exile. Bryce and Tiffany vanished from the social scene, their names toxic. But their downfall was not the end of the story, it was the beginning. The Sterling Ethics Initiative became the new industry standard. Companies that embraced it didn't just survive, they thrived. Productivity and innovation soared in workplaces built on respect rather than fear. The Joint Development Platform, built on collaboration instead of cutthroat competition, led to breakthroughs in medicine, climate science, and communication that had been thought impossible. Liam Sterling, now the CEO of Sterling Dynamics after his father's retirement, stands not in a gilded ballroom, but on the simple stage of a community college auditorium. He's announcing the first class of the Second Chance Scholarship, a program funded entirely by Sterling Dynamics to support service industry workers who want to pursue higher education. In the front row sits a young man, a former waiter who is now a promising engineering student. He was the one Bryce Covington berated over the temperature of his champagne that fateful night. His life, and the lives of countless others, had been changed forever. Not by an act of revenge, but by a quiet, principled decision. Liam looks out at the faces of the scholarship recipients, his expression warm and genuine. "My father taught me that true value is measured not in capital, but in character," he says, his voice echoing in the quiet auditorium. "And true power isn't about controlling others, it's about elevating everyone around you. The strongest leaders don't create more followers, they create more leaders." Later that day, as he walks back to his office, he passes a newsstand. A business magazine has him and his father on the cover. The headline reads, "The Sterling Legacy: How Father and Son Changed Tech Culture Forever." He doesn't stop to buy a copy. The true measure of his success isn't on a magazine cover or in a stock price. It's in the thriving, ethical workplaces that have become the norm. It's in the scholarship students building futures that once seemed impossible. It's in the fundamental shift from technology as a weapon of market dominance to technology as a tool for human advancement. As he enters his office, his phone buzzes with a text from his father. It's simple, just 5 words. "Character builds empires. Cruelty destroys them." Liam smiles. The lesson wasn't new. His father had taught it to him through example his entire life. The difference was that now an entire industry had learned it too. Not through a sermon, but through a consequence. And that's how you change the world. Not with a shout, but with a quiet, unbreakable resolve. What do you think is the biggest lesson from Liam's story? Let me know your thoughts down below. If this story resonated with you, please do 3 things for me. Like it, share it with someone who needs to be reminded that true power comes from character, and subscribe to this channel for more stories that don't just entertain, but empower. Because every single one of us, in our own way, has the power to demand better. Not just for ourselves, but for everyone around us. Thanks for watching.